The Imperial Lambda-class shuttle that's currently in hyperspace hums with a vibration. From the hyperdrive, the engines, the power. You sit in the cockpit alone. A shuttle designed to carry a crew, designed to carry troopers if necessary, and in this case, well stocked and appointed to ferry officers from a Star Destroyer in orbit down to the surface of a planet and back again. And while you are headed to a planet, it's not the one that you were in orbit above when you departed the hangar bay with your unauthorized departure path. And you made the jump to light speed before the crew of the Star Destroyer could figure out where you're going or what was happening. But you know that they'll be aware that there's something wrong now, given that was several days ago. As you make the long jump from Salashay, your old homeworld in the core worlds, to the planet of Fest, somewhere out in the Outer Rim. As you chase down a signal that was picked up on an old frequency. An old frequency that Anti-Vima was using to feed coordinates to Yunaza, your sister's childhood friend's mother, who's somewhere out in the galaxy, or was at least in years past, trying to intercept lost and abandoned Jedi before the Empire caught up with them. And after you got your parents, your mother, and your stepfather, a man you don't have a very close relationship with, but he's there all the same, as well as a few of the other locals, including your aunt, Mila. And when you got them all to safety in Salashay, Vima was able to use that frequency one more time and help send a final transmission out in the hopes that just maybe someone was listening, that someone would pick it up. And using the communication equipment on board the Star Destroyer Fortitude, which is in orbit around Salashay, you were able to determine that yes, that signal was picked up, not replied to, but it was acknowledged, it was received on the planet Fest. You're in the shuttle, you made the jump to light speed, and just like Vilra's mother, you now are on your way to intercept lost, abandoned people before the Empire does. Before those Imperial wanted orders spread from just the Imperial network to the Galactic network. Because then they'll be in danger no matter where they go. But that right now, you're in hyperspace, there's nothing more that can be done. And you're alone with your thoughts, alone with the noise of the shuttle, and alone with your memories. And it's hard not to reflect as this your final act, perhaps, as a lieutenant in the Imperial Navy. What happened on the mission where Ren earned her lieutenant stripes?
So, as I'm in hyperspace, Ren is just kind of obsessively cleaning up weapons and checking like the outfit that she's going to wear. Like, is she going with the uniform? Is she going to cover it with a coat? Is she going with kind of civilian clothes? And she's like, well, I'm probably going to touch down among Imperials, so I should probably go in the uniform. And that draws her back to memories about her own career. She used to be a commissioned officer for the Republic during the Clone Wars. Like, she worked for years to become, to rise through the ranks. And then by the time that she was actually in a position to do that. It was when the Empire was just starting to take over. And she thinks back to that terrible, terrible mission where she was down planetside supervising a group of clones and their Jedi general, and watched them all shoot down the Jedi and then turn their weapons toward her. And she clicks the gun closed again. She knows that she's made choices and she's made mistakes. She's got to make up for them somehow.
You know that the consequences of stealing the shuttle mean that your name's going to end up on a list too, when they figure out who you were and what you were doing. The poor lieutenant who allowed you to take the shuttle will share in those consequences in his own way as well. But once they realize who you were, they'll be looking for you as well.
We all make choices. Just have to have the right reasons. Click the power cell into the gun. Put it in my belt. I'm coming, Birdie. I'm coming.
And as if on cue, a warning indicator, an alarm sounds, warning you the ship is about to drop out of hyperspace. And then a few seconds later, you can hear the hyperdrive power down. You can hear the shift to the sublight engines as the shuttle engines come online, and the star line roars up as the planet of Fest flies up into your face, filling the cockpit as you emerge from hyperspace and begin the descent. You know you need to find a source of the signal where the communication was picked up. You've got rough coordinates for where that is, but you're going to need to do a scan to determine which hemisphere you need to descend to. You think You're starting to pick up some indicators, some landing beacons broadcasting out, but you can also still do a sensor sweep as well to determine where you should go. And so if you want to roll your sensors under your mechanical, if you have it, default to your mechanical. If you don't, make sure one of those dice is your wild die, and using the pretty powerful sensors on the Imperial shuttle, you can do a scan of the system.
Okay, I got a 13. No explosions.
Fest is a Arctic world, not completely frozen over. There appears to be water. There appears to be some foliage, but it's pretty cold, pretty white, pretty stark. And you pick up a few settlements, a few different locations that appear to have settlements in the area, even maybe landing beacons, but you find the signal you're looking for, the specific channels of the comm station that would have been used to receive that signal, that would have opened it up, and you're getting a signal from the northern hemisphere. And as you break orbit in planetfall, and you're picking up 2 landing beacons as you're coming in closer. And soon you find yourself breaking through the cloud cover, vast, cold ocean beneath you. The water flies by as you zip overhead. And then you start to see a bit of fog, and then you see lights. You're coming in as day has struck, so you've got daylight to see, which helps the visibility. There's some light fog over the water, but then you can see a shoreline up ahead, and that shoreline gives way to a bay, and then you can pick up 2 landing beacons. You can pick up a absolutely massive industrial facility in the bay, in the water of the bay itself. You can see a multi-storied hydrocarbon rig in operation. You can see there is a massive communications array, which doesn't appear to be the one that received the signal. You can see on the upper level there is some open air platforms that they're using for some kind of storage and activity. You can see there's a landing pad just big enough for a single shuttle to land, and on the opposite side of the rig you can see starfighter racks dangling over the open water. 2 TIE fighters dangling from the racks, sitting at the ready, waiting to go. then you can see that there's a second landing beacon on the shoreline, and you can see a settlement emerges on the shore, sprawled out along this curving shore of the bay. Obviously appears to be some kind of fishing settlement, aquaculture, and there is a tower next to a permacrete landing pad that's been fenced off, and you can do just a slow spin over the settlement as you prepare in. Your comm is blinking on. You've been hailed since you broke through the cloud cover and got within range of the hydrocarbon rig, so they're hailing you now. And you can see a second, although it looks to be damaged and offline, communications array, a smaller one, on the shoreline itself. But it's not near where the landing beacon is, and the landing beacon's on the other end of the settlement. And there's a permacrete pad sitting there at the ready, but you're getting hailed on the comms.
Okay, I'll switch it on. Does my shuttle have a particular call sign, or should I make one up?
You're going to tell me what it is right now.
Okay. This is Shuttle Frontier coming in for scheduled surprise inspection. Please grant landing instructions.
We read your Frontier. We don't have you on our schedule.
That's why it's called a surprise.
Landing pad 1A on the drilling platform is available for your landing, and you know that they're directing you to the hydrocarbon rig and not to the settlement pad.
Yeah, figures. Very good.
Now you know if you land on the rig, there's nowhere to go, and you know that the rig, the communications array that was on the rig, is not the one that was used to receive the signal.
Negative. I shall be landing on the shore to inspect the morale as part of my inspection. Give me coordinates.
Working on that Frontier. Stand by.
Don't make me wait.
Permission granted. Shore pad 1, landing beacon is active. And then you know the second beacon that you picked up. There's the first beacon, which is on the landing pad on the rig itself, and then the second beacon, which is on the shoreline with the permacrete pad, which has been fenced off.
Acknowledged, Control. Your efficiency shall be noted in my report.
Circle around once, and then start the landing sequence. Bring the shuttle down. Fold up the wings. Hit the permacrete pad. A bit of a jostle as the landing struts absorb the weight of the ship, and then you can start shutting down the systems. Outside temperature is cold, but not freezing. But you'll definitely maybe want to have a jacket or something if you don't want to be shivering as you step out.
Okay. So I make sure I secure my standard issue blaster at my side there, and I have a holdout blaster concealed on my person as well.
You bet.
Okay. And I'm putting on a coat because it looks cold out there.
Yeah. There's a full officer's coat that's heavier that goes over top of the uniform just fine. Lots of pockets and things in it, which is helpful. And then you get to the ramp, and when you're ready, you can hit the landing ramp to descend.
Take a deep breath, hit the button.
Landing ramp descends down, and immediately waft of cold air gets sucked up the ramp into the ship. The jacket definitely helps a little bit, but it is cold outside for sure. You're definitely in the northern hemisphere. It looks like it's to be like rough tundra, base up against mountains. That ocean water is probably absolutely freezing. And you can hear a bit of activity on the pad outside. You can hear the clacking and clanking of armored figures. And as you descend the ramp, and you can see that they've set up a very small escort guard of stormtroopers, snowtroopers in fact, on either side of the exit of the ramp. Going down, and there's an officer with a data pad there, looks to be a lieutenant as well, greeting you as you exit.
Does this coat involve like a scarf or like a high collar that I can put up around my face? Because
high
it's
collar,
cold.
high collar, 100%. Yeah.
Excellent.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Cross my hands at the small of my back, and I walk down the ramp.
The lieutenant steps up to you.
Full posture.
Yeah. Lieutenant walks up to you with the data pad. Lieutenant Dallas here. Is it just yourself? Is there anyone else? And he's like already looking past you to see if there's a superior officer coming down.
That would be telling, Lieutenant. Offer him my identification cylinder.
Takes your
or
code
whatever
cylinder.
I need to do.
Takes your code cylinder, yeah, and slots it into his data pad, and it pulls up Lieutenant Ren Sesper, Imperial Navy, and he says, "Okay, yes, sorry, Lieutenant, we're a little bit active at the moment. We've got a demolition team that's already been set up. We need to take down the old comms tower today." So I don't have a full escort that I can give you. I can assign a single trooper just to escort you through the settlement. And of course, we have a watercraft ready to take you back to the rig when you're ready.
Ah, very good. Well, as a matter of fact, I happen to very much enjoy demolitions. Perhaps that should be the first start of our tour. Before it is destroyed, of course. I should hate any part of my report to be incomplete because the evidence was destroyed.
He unslots the cylinder and hands it back to you. He says, "Understood, Lieutenant. We've got some salvagers who are active in the community. They've been stealing parts, and we think that they've been trying to salvage off the tower. So we're going to take it down once and for all to ensure that nothing further can be used to disrupt operations here."
A fine instinct, Lieutenant. I approve. Now, show me this tower.
He dismisses the escort snowtroopers and then pulls one snowtrooper over. Escort the lieutenant to the old communications yard. Stay with them. Anything the lieutenant needs, make sure that they find, and ensure that lieutenant gets to the dock when the captain calls for assembly. And the trooper nods and gives a quick affirmative in that electronic voice. Right. And then a snowtrooper, rifle at the ready, falls in a step behind you and will follow you as you go. And you can see there's a fenced-off yard for the pad, a pair of snowtroopers at the gate leading to the pad, leading out, and then the settlement beyond awaits.
All right. Off we go.
Get to the gate. You can look around for a moment, take stock of it. Definitely appears to be a fishing village, but definitely obviously appears to be the hydrocarbon operation as sort of the primary imperial operation here in the settlement. But there still seems to be a small market, small fishing. There's fishing vessels that you can see. The landing platform is elevated just slightly, and then it descends down into the settlement, so it gives you a bit of a view of the bay just from up here where you are. And you can see the watercraft on the water doing looks like some trap fishing, as well as some watercraft on the shore in various states of repair or just not being used. And as you look around, and as you see the faces of the locals, as you step through the gate and now start walking down the main street of Somber, the settlement, the faces look at you, they see the Imperial uniform. Some people kind of turn away, some people kind of like will scurry off children out of the way of the street, making sure there's nobody in your way. And you see a few people even covering up some tables and things as you walk past, just kind of keeping an eye on you. No friendly faces. Nobody seems to be terribly enjoying their day. And then you can see a pair of snowtroopers approaching you in the opposite direction, patrolling the main street down in the direction of the communications yard, but they're walking towards the landing pad, and you'll pass them in the crowd as you go through the day. But you will be head off into the settlement, escorted by the snowtrooper towards in the direction of which you can see rising above the rooftops this old dilapidated communications tower that seems to be communications dish, I should say, in the communications yard that seems to be pointing skyward, and that seems to be the only other significant communications array that they're talking about. That must be where the demolition is taking place, and the snowtrooper indicates that they will lead you, and so they step ahead of you now and actually will take you through the crowd, and their presence ensures that the crowd parts and there's nobody to obstruct you as you come in, and you get a clear view of the yard and everything else.
Okay.
And that gives our viewers a clear view as they join us and watch this episode of Quadrilateral Frostfall, a Star Wars actual play. Welcome to Dungeon Scrawlers, your home for adventures told by some of your favorite authors and storytellers. And before we introduce everybody, I have two great sponsors I want to tell you about. Both make dice, and both are awesome in very different ways. In a realm where most warriors use plastic-light weapons, Norse Foundry specializes in metal dice. When you roll them, it feels like you are skillfully smashing the monster horde. Norse Foundry offers cool gaming accessories and other things at their store, which you can find more about them at norsefoundry.com. Phoenix Dice is named for the creature that rises from the ashes because they use recycled materials for the dice. They are designing and testing multiple types of recycled materials for your enjoyment, raising dice from the ashes and onwards to epic adventures. And you can find their dice and their accessories at phoenixdice.com. Welcome to Quadrilateral Frostfall, a Star Wars actual play using Star Wars the Role-Playing Game's 2nd edition, revised and expanded as originally published by West End Games. I am your Game Master, Jason Collins. I'm an actual play streamer, freelance tabletop role-playing game designer, freelance comic book writer. You can find my work and the first chapter of Quadrilateral on my Linktree at digital_Collins. You can also find all the episodes of Quadrilateral on the Dungeon Scrawlers Twitch and YouTube channels.
Hi everybody, my name is Barnaby. I am a TTRPG illustrator and an actual player, I guess. You can find me everywhere on the internet at @that's_Barnaby. And I'm just glad to be here.
Hello, my name is Mara. You can find me on the internet at College of Lore Dropout or just Lore Dropout. You can also find me over on Starlight Tales, a queer and trans-led actual play. We do Starfinder, we do D&D, we do it all. It's great, it's gay, it's in space.
Hi, I'm Diana here to confirm that it is in fact gay and in space. You can find me over there on Starlight Tales. You can find me other places on the internet at Sapphic Strigonona or just Sapphic Strega. You can also find my writing in, once again, the upcoming or maybe already out tabletop baking adventure game Story Bake. If you like marshmallow peep jousting, this one's for you.
Hi everyone, my name is May. You can find me on the internet at Maybe Mayhem. You can also find me on my podcast that I do with my friend Mary Kate called Socially Plagued, where all good pods are casted.
And I'm Erik Scott to be occasional player on this game and one of the members of the Dungeon Scrawlers. Thank you so much for being on our channel. This is so fun. The first season was great. The second season is going so well. I'm looking forward to what happens.
You made the decision after having a discussion with Dale Ellikin, also known as Rix the Foreman, that if you were going to act against the Empire, you wanted to target the rig. Now would be the time to do it. Dale told you that they are running double shifts. There's no room to store the extra hydrocarbon as they extract it, so they're now storing it on the upper platform of the rig, exposed to the open elements, to have as much of the shipment ready for when the eventual Imperial pickup comes, which should be in the next few days to a week. But you know that if you're going to do that, you're going to have to make sure you have a way to get off planet quickly. You needed to secure a ship, and you needed to secure the assistance of the locals. You did both of those things, talking with the local mechanic Brim, who gave you access to the old landing bay, which included a quarantined ship from a captain who was arrested years ago for trying to bribe an Imperial officer, and so he still had the code cylinder, which gave you access to that bay, but you didn't use the code cylinder because you also discovered that there was a rear maintenance access through the maintenance tunnels into the back of the bay, tight fit, but you're able to squeeze in so that nobody can see you coming and going from the bay for that piece. And inside, you in fact found a Curly Space Jim Snore 3 light freighter, which I will show everybody here right now as we are talking about that. And it is a Carillion light freighter that allows you, and I'll show everybody after, actually I'll come back to that. That was still mostly fueled and stocked, but needed a little bit of just TLC to get up and running, but was missing a key component. And the key component it was missing was the nav computer. It appears the Empire, when it was impounded, stripped the nav computer, probably to track the flight path of the freighter in the months past, weeks and months past before it got to Fest. And there was a technical crew that was supposed to come in and actually search and seize the ship, which was scheduled, which you found in the local system, but had never been acted upon. Imperial, laziness and just corruption, ensuring that the crews never were assigned to their task. And so the ship is stayed shuttered and stayed in quarantine all these years. But Brim, having access to the bay, was using it for his own personal lounge, as you found some of his food and drink inside, some of his tools where he was working on small projects, because the bay was quiet and undisturbed, and he could use it as his own little workshop away from everyone else. But you knew in order to get the ship ready, if you wanted to have a means to get off planet quickly, you needed to get a nav computer, which meant you made the decision that you would have to go to the depot, the local mechanics bay, the local starship repair bay, where they trade in parts and supplies with the local freighter captains who come in. You knew that you would have to go to the depot and see if they have a nav computer there. The depot that Dale warned you was staffed or owned by an Imperial loyalist and his brother, who he considered to be violent and very dangerous. You had to decide who was going to go and under what pretense and how you would do that. And with Vilra's wanted status and with now Tanal's wanted status, you made the decision that Gila would go along with Two Pint to secure a hyperdrive, a nav computer, and to bring back so that the hyperdrive could be powered up. Two Pint having an alternate plan of also seeing if they could secure a set of automaton legs for a certain protocol droid who is still mounted to a base inside the cantina, because Two Pint has this dream of liberating Q3PO from their translation service and perhaps finding a way to whether set them free or bring them along. You simply don't know, but Two Pint was very driven about that and was very keen to go to the depot for that purpose. And so the two of you went, and you went to the depot and you entered, and it is as described, this massive, large building, perhaps twice as wide as some of the other buildings on the main street because of all of the racks of shelves and tools and parts, massive collection of droid parts, chassis, appendages, accessories, and like sifting through pants on a rack. Two Pint was able to cycle through all of the different legs of different droid models and makes before settling on a set of old Clone Wars era B2 battle droid legs, which were still functional, and was going to include those as part of the transaction. A transaction which was initiated by Gila, disguised as an Imperial technician, with a forged Imperial work order mimicking the previous work order that you found in the Imperial computer, to have the ship inspected and stripped as needed. And when Gila met the owners, you understood Dale's warning, though he admitted a very particular detail, as Dale himself, a Jedi Master in hiding, in exile, only told you that the owner was an Imperial loyalist, but didn't tell you that the owner, Complex, was in fact a clone. And his brother, Cutter, with a very peculiar appetite for blades and violence, was also a clone. And so the depot is run by a pair of old clone troopers who have settled in Somber and run the show. And they had a nav computer after a bit of negotiation, which they brought out and showed Gila. A nav computer that was in fact salvaged from a crashed Republic dropship that landed a few days ago up in the tundra. The dropship that brought you to Fest. Gila recognized the absent scratchings and engravings from Vilra when she was sitting in the cockpit, passing away the many days and hours as you were stuck on the dropship in hyperspace on the way to the planet. troopers obviously having located that crash site before the Imperials and salvaged the nav computer to sell on the side. Negotiations are underway. You have a very limited number of credits. You're able to find some credits on the ship that you found in the bay, but you knew that you had a tight budget and you couldn't afford to let them negotiate you higher. And Gila, under her guise as an Imperial technician, kept them to the max budget that you had. But the droid legs were extra, and that was part of it. But before negotiations were finished, there was another interruption, as the door to the bay opened and an Imperial captain entered, escorted by a trooper. Not a snow trooper, a different trooper, one you hadn't seen before, a trooper dressed entirely in black armor. The captain paid no mind to the Imperial technician in the depot, focused very much on the conversation with the clones, a conversation which was familiar as it appeared Complex knows the captain and they speak often. The captain showed 2 holographic pucks, one with the holographic image of the crashed dropship, getting Complex to confirm that it was in fact a Clone Wars era Republic dropship, and Complex confirming that it was in fact a Special Forces dropship that was rare because it had environmental seals and a hyperdrive, allowing clone troopers to be deployed anywhere in the galaxy they needed to go without needing a full cruiser in support. And the captain telling Complex that salvagers had stolen the nav computer, and they needed to keep an eye out for anybody trying to buy or sell starship parts for that purpose. And as that happened, Cutter covered up the nav computer, which was sitting on the counter just a short distance down from where the captain and Complex were talking, covered it up with an oily rag, leaned on it with his arm, with his horrible scar above his lip and mouth onto his cheek, which leads to his mechanical eye that he obviously lost years past, and he just stared down Gila as the conversation between the captain and Complex went on, which included a second puck which he pulled up and had the holographic images which had now been released to the local network of Vilra and Two Pint and Tanal in the communications yard, fighting off seeker droids before disappearing, and the captain warning Complex to keep an eye out for these individuals and any others who might be salvaging or seeking to disrupt the settlement or Imperial operations. And Complex heartily agreed, and Complex was motivated by the fact that there was a reward offered for information leading to the capture of those individuals. Complex made a final donation to the local orphans fund, which the trooper took possession of off the counter. The captain never touched it. They completed their formalities. The captain and the black-clad trooper left, and Gila finished negotiations with Complex over the nav computer and the B2 battle droid legs, pretty much depleting all of the credits that you had and leaving Complex with a work order promising compensation for a nav computer as part of that work order from the Empire. As long as the forgery holds, at least until he goes in to cash it in, you were able to leave with the nav computer and the droid legs. Gila and Two Pint returned to the bay, aware of and actively trying their best to avoid probe droids, cycling above the crowds on the main street and on some of the side streets. Not the four-legged Imperial seeker droids that you encountered in the yard. These were smaller, sleeker, fast-moving probe droids with big lenses and small antennas scanning the crowd. Made their way back across the lane, headed back to the bay, watched through macro binoculars by Tanal, standing on the retaining wall, the service wall of the bay, unable to keep track of them the entire time, but seeing them when they're able to come back, keeping track of them in a bay for a moment before losing sight of them in the streets as they make their way back to the bay, knowing that they'll be returning to the maintenance corridor in the back to get entrance back in again. And Tanal noticed that they were carrying multiple items which included Gila having negotiated for a cycler rifle, which was mounted on the wall above the countertop, which Cutter seemed quite partial to, but still sold it under the guise as a hunting rifle and exempt from the ban on long rifles in the settlement by the Empire. And just before Tanal stepped off the wall, scanned with the binoculars as a Imperial shuttle circled over the settlement once before coming to land at the pad, and a small Imperial entourage greeting the shuttle as it landed and the ramp descended. And through the binoculars, Tanal was able to see an Imperial officer exit, have a discussion with the Imperials. The Imperial escorts were dispersed, and then the officer exited the landing pad yard, escorted by a single snowtrooper. And just for a moment, as the officer reached the edge of the landing pad, through the gate, looking through the streets, looking up for a moment, their hat pulled up, a high-collared, warm jacket covering them up, Tanal thinks for a moment she saw the face of her sister, Ren Cesper, here in Somber, here on Fest. Tanal. The officer disappears into the crowd, led away by a snowtrooper. They're behind some buildings. You can't see them anymore. But you're certain it looked so much like Ren. But how could it be?
I know exactly how it could be. It's because she's a fucking idiot. I think that as the others are arriving back at the hangar, Tanal is getting ready to go out. I think she's gone into that side office. I think that she's started tearing through the remaining like technician jumpsuits, trying to find one that'll fit her. And as they kind of come back into the hangar, she's got, she's like pulling on the pants and is starting to like kind of get the sort of top part of the jumpsuit up on her shoulders, and kind of just looks up at them like a deer in headlights, like she's been caught.
Before you just, you're gonna go do all that, which is fine, but before you descend the
Yeah.
wall, I want you to roll your perception for me one more
Oh my
time.
God, sure.
Do not include the bonus dice from your macro binoculars because you're not looking through them at the moment. But as you're still
Just
standing on the
regular
wall,
perception?
roll your perception. Make sure your wild die is included as one of those dice.
Okay. No explosions, but no complications. I can't do math. I want to use a character point because I rolled kind of bad and I would like to do better.
Use a character point.
Okay,
Roll an extra
that's
d6.
better.
It can explode.
Okay. 5, 10, 11.
Okay. You think you see a reflection of light from the sunlight that peers through the morning cloud cover on a rooftop across the settlement, across the road, closer to the dock shore. You think you see a reflection of something in the light. Not just the rooftop, but something else, something brighter that catches a bit of the sunlight and reflects for a moment. Just sort of out of the corner of your eye.
Can I swing my binoculars over and zoom in a bit?
You zoom in for a bit, and you can see a rooftop. You can see a small communications antenna on the top of the roof, probably tied into the local network. A bunch of cabling and such dangling down off the rooftop. You can see the steam venting from the geothermal plants that are warming and heating up all the buildings. But you just see a rooftop, and you don't see anything else that would have reflected the antenna is a dull gray metal that shouldn't have reflected any light that way. Everything else is covered in a light covering of snow. So you pull up the binoculars, you zoom in, but you don't see anything.
Can I just mentally make note of which rooftop it was?
Yeah, probably one of the homesteads near the docks, but yeah, you can sort of adjust where you think you think it would be located.
Okay. Cool.
Then you head back down, and you get into the office, and you start getting changed. And as you're doing all that, is when Gila and Two Pint emerge from the maintenance tunnels that surround the interior walls of the bay with their findings.
Hey, how'd it go?
Good.
It went fine. I think it went fine. We
You-
got what we needed and some other stuff.
Oh, also, you look paler than normal. Are you feeling
That's
okay?
a lot. Yeah,
Okay.
no, I'm fine.
They
This
did
was a lot.
a great job negotiating, and they were very scary, and it was impressive.
Oh, I believe that. Yeah. Is that the nav computer? I can take that. Tunnel is somewhere.
Oh, I have something for I yeah, I have something
Is it the
for
gun
if
on
you-
your back?
Yeah, it's a little big for me, but it felt like something she would use. So I thought, we'll get her something. She's good shot. It felt like this was a good investment.
No, I think that makes sense. Yeah, I can take the nav computer from you and start putting it in.
Hey, there's a lot also. The stakes are a lot higher. There's more Imperial officers. The two owners of the maintenance bay, they're clones.
That explains why
And
Dale
there's-
doesn't like them.
And
Yeah.
then there's also a black stormtrooper, or a stormtrooper dressed in all black.
Uh,
I
Okay,
don't know
all
what
I
that
kn-
means, but it feels insidious.
Yeah, I don't know what it means either. Tunal seems to know these things. Insidious is the correct word, I believe. Yeah, it's bad. Bad.
I think
Correct.
Tanal kind of at this point steps out from the office. I seem to know what.
You know about Trooper. You changed.
Good on you.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks. Sorry. What did you guys have a question? Did you need something?
You also look paler. What's happening?
Uh,
It's like you've seen a ghost. What's going on?
my sister's here.
In a good
Uh,
way?
In a way that she just walked off an Imperial ship and talked to some troopers and is now presumably wandering through the settlement. And I gotta go pick her up. I think probably right. We can't just let her wander around.
Is she in uniform? Because she probably fits in.
Yeah,
Maybe.
yeah. She's Yeah, she's. I don't know. I don't know.
Given that my paint job, is it perhaps a good idea that I should go? Be like, hello, remember me? I'm in disguise. Because, it's less suspicious if an officer is talking to an Imperial-looking droid than, like, a random,
Yeah, that's probably a better idea.
And I think if we beeline, and I'm going to say we, that includes you, beeline straight at her, it's going to be weird and she may have to pretend not to know us.
Yeah.
Maybe we keep an eye. Who's sneaky? I can't sneak. But, keep an eye on
You can
her.
go back out.
Yeah, I mean, I'm terrified to be out in public right now, but I don't know.
We have a lot of moving parts right now. We have to, as much as I want to see Ren again as well, we still have to figure out what we're going to do because the presence of Imperials is getting pretty big and pretty intense for such a small settlement. So whatever we do, we need to be smarter than we usually are. And I trust Ren. If Ren's here, she has, I hope, a plan. And let her do her plan, and we'll do ours, and then we will scoop up or save one another when the moment's appropriate. But and looks at Tunnel. I don't think we should get in contact with her out of fear of blowing your cover and ours, or their cover and ours.
And maybe we could meet up at we can bump into her at the cantina because that's a normal place for people to go. Maybe get her a note or something that says that
Yeah,
to
if
have
you want
a meetup. Yeah.
to write a note, I could go deliver it as an official droid and be saluting and all that stuff.
Okay.
It's hard. Yeah.
I'm not leaving anyone behind.
I know. I just sorry. Until 5 minutes ago, I wasn't sure if she made it out. But yeah, that's smart. We can figure it out. What did you guys have did you guys get everything from the depot that we needed?
Turns around and hands you the gun.
Just grinning ear to ear and just kind of like takes it, turns it over in her hands. What is this?
It is a hunting rifle.
Right. Okay. Good to know.
That I've
Good to know.
procured. You're a really good shot, and this felt like this would remind you of home, just like the slugs.
10 times nicer than anything I had at home. This is gonna be. This is.
You
this
deserve
is
nice
gorgeous.
things, you know.
Thanks.
Gila,
Thank
do you
you.
remember where Cutter? I'm putting the cycler rifle up and showing everybody right now. Gila, do you remember where the? Do you remember where Cutter told you the rifle was from?
I don't remember off the top of my head.
He said it was from a tribe of locals on a dust ball called Tatooine.
Oh.
And if you don't remember, it's because I may have forgotten to mention that point. But it's all wrapped in cloth coverings, to help keep sand and that out of its components. And he mentioned it was, or he would have mentioned if I had been on the ball, that it was a cycler rifle from a band of rural locals, a tribe, on a dust ball called Tatooine, and it's apparently a rifle favored by them because it continues to operate even in sandstorms.
It's from Tatooine, so
Oh.
it'll not get sand and stuff. There's cloth around it. It's also very, very, very pretty.
I mean,
That's
it's gorgeous. Hopefully, it'll stand up to snowstorms as well as it does sandstorms.
Well, if you're handling it, it should be, fine.
Right. Thanks. Sorry, what were you guys saying? Did something happen at the depot though? I feel like we kind of blew past that.
Yeah, there's clones that are running the depot. There's also
What?
an Imperial officer. Yeah, and there's also a black stormtrooper. We don't know. I don't know what the wait, not black. I don't know if he's black, but it's a stormtrooper in black. That was
Right.
there.
Okay.
There's a lot more people. There's a lot more people who want us fucked up. And also, I seen there's a puck with so they're here looking exclusively for you three. I should have led with that.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All
Like,
right.
does it have our exact faces? Like,
It's pretty spot on.
full. Okay.
Saying whatever we do next, we have to be decisive and we have to be quick because the window of opportunity is shrinking very quickly.
Right. Well,
And how quickly is it shrinking, Gila? What information did you pick up off your recording rod as well?
Oh, that the Imperial ship's on its way in, right?
And
That we have a. Go ahead.
Dale thinks maybe there's up to a week before it arrives on its next scheduled drop for pickup, and instead you know that it's already in hyperspace and on its way.
Do I have like a timetable of like a guesstimate?
No,
Okay.
because you don't know where the and that's for the Relentless, and you don't know where the Relentless was coming from, but the Imperial officer that was captured on your recording rod, which you had left behind, smuggled under the table, the reserved table at the cantina, just simply told the troopers that they needed to be aware that that's why the double shifts were happening, that they were speeding up production because the Relentless was en route. And that they were to work all the shifts and recruit as many of the locals. And recruit was also a kind word for saying enforced labor if need be to ensure that all the shifts are filled. and the hydrocarbon production schedule was maintained. The accelerated schedule was maintained.
I don't know when. They're definitely going to be here quicker than a week, and we don't know when. And so, whatever we're going to do, we need to do it now.
All right. Well,
Okay.
what was on our checklist, right? A ship. We got the ship. Once we install that computer, we'll have the ship. We'll be ready to go whenever we need to leave. People. We talked to people. We figured out a way to get them to kind of... They've started spreading the word. They're going to be ready to go to help evacuate once we make that thing go kaboom. And the last thing that we really needed was a plan. To get on there, blow it, get off.
I know we, like, literally just got done saying maybe we should wait and not talk to Ren, but I bet Ren might have some insights on it.
She might know. She might be able to get us in.
Okay. So, do we split up? Vilra at work on the nav computer, and then one of us go and talk to Ren, and then is there anything else that we need to be doing, or should be keeping our eye out for?
I mean, we should probably keep Ricksdale in the loop, just because.
I'll hit up his comm link and I'll let him know to come here when he's done working on whatever he's working on.
Or we can meet him back at the homestead, but I feel like keeping him... I feel like we need to...
I get that. I think seeing Ren's gonna be an adjustment. I think if we bring an Imperial into his house, he might freak it a bit.
Yeah, but, like, she's not. But I get it.
She's in the uniform.
Yeah. But it would make sense...
Don't forget about her...
that she would talk to the foreman. Right?
That's true, but...
Yeah, you're right. We'll figure something. I just, the coming up with the plan part is hard, and I don't know, I'm like really scared.
Okay, so here's what I think we should do. Tonal, I think you should go and talk to them, not your sister, but go talk to him to see if just update him on everything, and then we need somebody to also go check on our burn victim in the med bay to make sure that he's up and running and good to go. Yeah, I forget about him too.
Yeah. We gotta go pick up Sledge.
I'll take 2 Pint with me. We'll go and talk to your sister. I still have the cover. I still have the cover, and 2 Pint looks the part, and they still don't know who I am, so we should take advantage of that as long as we can.
Right. Okay.
And I'll be here.
Have you shown Vilra the nav computer yet? So you have a nav computer, Vilra. You recognize the nav computer that Gila brings you.
This is a nav computer. This is the one from our little dropship that got us here.
Huh. They
Yeah.
sold us back our own computer.
They did, yeah.
Great.
Well, slice of home. Well, they didn't sell us anything, so.
It makes me feel better.
Yeah, I mean, it'll work. I can get it to work.
Did we wipe that thing before we left?
I think so.
I don't know.
Can I roll to see if I remember doing that?
I'll just tell you that you didn't do that because you were injured and out of it and in the middle of a frozen tundra after crashing your ship, and wiping the nav computer was the last thing on your mind. You were more concerned about how do we get shelter.
Yeah, I was a little concussed. So no, we didn't.
Yeah, I remember. Is there a way to check if anyone else has accessed or downloaded that information recently?
Once you get it hooked up, Vilra, which is going to take a bit of time, then you can determine if there's been anything, like if there's a maintenance log in terms of anybody else accessing the nav computer since the last time it was installed.
Okay. Yeah. So once I get it in, which is gonna be fun for me because I like doing that, but it's gonna take some time. I'll try to hurry. Yeah, I think Two Pint should be able to get in there and check the logs and stuff.
Right.
Can certainly give it a go.
But I gotta get it in first. Got to be connected to something.
We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But for now, the timetable is short. Let's get to work, yeah?
Right.
Yeah.
Hey.
So Gila and Two Pint are going to leave the bay and go and see if they can find Ren. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
And Vilra's going to start working on the nav computer. And Tanal, are you staying with Vilra?
Tanal is gonna go and try to find Dale. I'll like message him on a comm link and be like, "Hey, where are you?" But yeah, that's my priority.
Okay.
What about Sledge? Who's gonna check on him?
I can swing by after and be
Okay.
like, "Hey, do you want to leave or stay? What do you want to do, Sledge? You're concussed, but you let me know."
Okay. Okay. That's your plan?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Where are we telling Ren? Are we telling Ren to come here?
I think so.
I think we're gonna find out what Ren has going on, and then communicate in our own way what needs to be done.
Great.
I'll figure it out when I get there.
And who
But
has
you're
the
very good
comm-
at talking to people.
Yeah. From what you've said, I believe you. Who has the comm links to make sure that we can all stay connected?
I think I have one.
I think we gave the other to Gila. And I'll just be here. It'll be fine. There's a lot of places to hide in here too. So
Okay.
And we'll
Something-
try and hurry.
If something
Okay.
happens, you run, you hide. Okay.
I will. I'll
Not
leave
try to
some.
fight them.
No, God, no.
Okay.
No. I leave that to you. You're much better at it, and I prefer hiding. So, yeah, no, I'll leave some kind of message or something so that you know I pieced out.
And you all remember Gila's warning a few moments ago?
Yeah, I'm covering my face.
Okay.
I'll wear a little respirator mask and pull up a hood or a hat or something.
Okay. All right. Gila and Two Pint are going to head out into the streets to find Ren, and Tanal is going to head to the infirmary and then try and rendezvous with Dale at the same time if they can. Dale probably responds back to say that he's in the settlement and he's sort of making some rounds and checking in with some people still. He says that there are increased trooper patrols, so you should really stay put, and I'll come talk to you later, unless you tell him it's something urgent.
It's absolutely. I'm like, yeah, we need to talk about a couple of things.
All right.
And there's a slightly dangerous edge in her voice.
Okay. Okay. So you head out, and Tanal will do you first as you break off with Gila and Two Pint.
Mm-hmm.
Head back out through the maintenance bay, back through the rear path, not opening the main doors to the bay, not to attract any further attention than you have to. And then you and Gila have a moment outside if you want to have a quick conversation before parting ways.
Do you remember, keep your face covered? Don't, I know, like, sometimes please don't, escalate anything. Just please be safe.
I will. I promise. I'm not gonna do anything stupid this close to the finish line.
Yeah, because, I need you. You've always, been in my life, and I don't want to be out here alone.
Gila, you're not gonna be alone.
I know, because you're going to come back.
You too. All right, keep your head down. Just because they're not looking for you doesn't mean that they won't find you anyway. Okay.
Good luck out there, cowboy.
Thanks. So, I don't know. Come back in one piece, all right?
Okay. Like goes in and like gives you a big old hug.
Aww. I think Tanal's a little like shocked at first. It takes her a second before she like wraps her arms back around them and kind of pulls back. Hey, it's gonna be okay. We've made it through worse already.
Feels like it's just gonna keep getting worse. And how long is our luck gonna go? And your sister's here, and it just feels like everything's escalating so quickly.
Well, I don't really believe in luck. All right. I believe in you.
Oh, well, I believe in you. You're,
We made a pretty good team out there.
yeah, you're really good with a gun. Well, amongst other things, you know. But you're, it's just, I love you, Tanal. I just don't want anything to, like, happen to you.
Yeah. I think she again. That's a lot of feeling from Gila, and I think that Tanal is a little bit like slack-jawed at this. Gila, when we left, I was just so afraid. I was afraid that I lost my family. I was never going to see them again. But I don't know, I just being here with all of you, with you. Somehow I'm not afraid anymore.
The same for me. I feel like I've changed a lot since we've left home. I've been kind of scared of that, but, you know, I don't know, when I look at you, I still think of home. I feel like there's still hope. I don't know what I would do if we lost that.
You won't.
I know. Like, kind of good use. Yeah?
Fuck it. And I lean in and kiss them.
And you have a kiss
Little leg
in the
kick.
street? Yeah.
The foot pop.
Unwitnessed by anybody except a beautification and maintenance droid who is more interested probably in the security panels of the main doors than they are in what's happening between you. But Two Pint is a witness to it all the same.
2 Pints. Trying to look anywhere else right now. Give him a moment.
Vilra feels a disturbance in the force, and like a good way.
A gay
And it's just
disturbance.
like something's happened, but like I feel good about it.
And I think that after a long moment, Tanal kind of pulls back and looks them deep in their eyes and says, "You can keep that one on the record."
Oh, yeah.
Whoa. Okay, that was.
It's just, I wanted to, I don't want to, I don't ever want to forget this moment. This is,
You won't have to. We're gonna
Okay,
need
yeah,
one more.
no, you're, what, how am I supposed to think? I love you.
Love you.
Oh, okay.
I don't think I've ever heard
Okay.
you giggle before.
Oh no, God. 2 Point, we need to leave.
Right? Yeah. Let's sure. Okay.
Gila and 2 Pint disappear into the side streets that lead to the bay, and Tenali go the opposite direction, heading back for the main lane and to the infirmary.
There's like before she gets all serious again. There's like a little skip in her step.
Yeah.
Just a little. Yeah.
The warmth in your heart is a nice reprieve from the cold of the air around you, Tenal, as you make your way away from the bay, through the side streets, into the secondary lanes where all the homesteads are, and then the noise and the bustle of the main strip that runs the north-south length of the bay ahead of you, and you can start to see the crowd and droids and voices and noises up ahead. You've got yourself kind of bundled up, got a respirator on. Did you take the cycler rifle with you?
I'm gonna say no, just because I feel I'm trying to avoid attention, and even though this thing is technically street legal, I feel like it will draw the wrong kind of attention.
And did you put the armor back on, or did you leave it off?
No, absolutely not.
Okay. Hit the main street, disappear into the crowd, but I need you to roll your perception for me when you hit the street.
Of course. I would love to roll it. What is it again, if I only knew? Okay, no explosions, but no complications. That is a 10.
Okay. Head through the lane. You have to pass by the depot. The depot that you now know is apparently owned by a clone. The infirmary is just a short distance past that, as you know from before. Do you just continue to the infirmary, or do you stop?
I mean, of course I stop. Are you crazy? Of course I'm gonna cause problems on purpose. I would love to just just try to observe from the outside for a little bit and see if I can either through windows or just if they're coming and going, moving things around, see if I can catch a glimpse of these guys from a distance.
So no real windows that you can see inside. It's a pretty
Okay.
industrial building that's, obviously designed to keep weather and cold air out, of course, right? So they don't do windows the same way here that they do. Dale's place has very thin windows kind of near the top, near the roof line, enough to let natural light in when the sun is out, but thick enough and very scratched up and opaque that doesn't really do much for visibility because there's nothing to look out outside other than just the cold tundra and another industrial building or a homestead next to you. Watch a few people come and go from the depot. You see people coming in with parts, leaving with parts, and so forth. You don't recognize anybody that comes and goes from the depot that way. So whoever's inside is still inside at this point, to the best of your knowledge. And without going inside yourself, there's simply no way to know a bit more about what's happening.
Just had a long conversation where I promised that I would be safe and not make any dumb, rash decisions. I'm going to immediately break that promise. I'm gonna go inside.
Okay. Okay.
If we do it for the plot.
Yeah, it checks out.
Yeah. God, Ren is so dumb. How could she come here and immediately walk into danger?
You go and you pass the doors, slide open. Dim light inside, bright enough to see all the massive racks of tools and shelves and parts, and it just floor to ceiling, and it just continues on in both directions as you enter in. And then the door closes behind you, and the cold air is sealed off again, and there starts to be a little bit of warmth seeping back in. You're still all wrapped up in everything. A voice in the back somewhere. Hey, welcome to the depot. If we don't have it, it's not to be found. Be right with you. You don't see anybody for the moment. But the voice, despite the jovial, somewhat sarcastic tone, is still a little familiar to you.
I think her breath catches, and she forces herself to just start walking around and just window shopping for things, just, like making it look like she's just perusing.
Tools and parts for vehicles, land speeders, bikes, tools and parts for starships, which you don't know much about at this point, but you recognize a few things, and you know just the larger components, things that would be too big for a speeder probably for that. Large components hanging on chains from the ceilings, things that got suspended. It looks like there's a pod engine of some kind, maybe for a large speeder or a small shuttle, you can't tell, descended from the ceiling on massive chains and just hanging there. And then on the far side you can see the same collection that Tupine saw earlier. Droid chassis hanging on racks, a row of just heads, a row of hands, another rack of appendages, legs and arms and things, disassembled droids of various makes and models, a few of them intact and hanging up on racks, similar to how they used to hang up on the rack in the old repair bay back in West Craig. And then a long counter at the back, industrial, wall racking with like hooks and things and all sorts of stuff hanging off it on the back. You notice there is a display rack above the counter that's empty at the moment. And you can hear a bit of, and now that you're close enough to the counter, you can start to hear a bit of clanging in the back as somebody's rustling rustling around in some stuff.
Yeah.
It's a bit of an oily smell in here, right? So a lot of grease, a lot of oils and lubricants.
Mm-hmm. I think she'll kind of go over to the like droid parts and just kind of like start looking through them. I think that she's a little, like, as much as she wants to go back and check in the back, she also is like, once she's in here and she, like, the door has shut behind her, she's like, has a moment of like, oh god, what am I doing? Like, what am I hoping to get out of this? But also is like, I don't think I can leave before I like see for myself. But also like doesn't know how to, is like, I don't know what I'm gonna say to these guys. I don't know what am I doing here? Why did I do this? I don't know.
After a few moments, you can hear a figure emerge from the back. A little side door that slides open, steps through, looks around for a moment, and then spies you over in the droid corner, makes their way over, and you see the face. The weathered and slightly scarred face of a clone trooper. He's got a buzz cut, he's got gloves on, a belt, a few tools hanging off of it, throws a big oily rag over one shoulder as he comes over, leans on the shelf next to you. Need some droid parts? We got them all.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it. And kind of nods towards if there are any other like droid parts that are specifically from like battle droids.
There's a whole rack of the B1 battle droids, the smaller little beige ones. Some of them have straight up battle damage on them still.
Yeah.
And then there's some disassembled, not as many, but a few disassembled B2 battle droids, the tall gray and silver ones with the wrist-mounted blasters. And so yeah, there's some of those. Both of those.
Yeah, I haven't seen a B2 in a while.
Oh yeah,
it's impressive.
Out here in the Outer Rim, the Seps were a little more active, trying to find worlds, easy worlds that they could take, use as striking points from, take the resources. You can find these carcasses all over the place, if you're looking for them.
Right. Yeah.
These days the salvagers have gotten most of them, but there's a few old sites you can still find them out of the way. Yeah. You know that if you put one back together, you can't have it walk around town, right? That's not going to pass ordinance.
No, I mean I figured as much. Fought hard enough to put these things down. They don't want them walking around again.
And even though there's no one else in the depot, and he kind of leans in on you, but if you need target practice, nothing better.
Interesting. Good to know. I know, are a little bit strict on the weapons policy around here. But... Yeah,
but and he gestures to your leg if you've got the blaster pistol on the leg and it's visible. Yeah. And he says, "Well, there's they don't care too much what we do to each other here. They just don't want the long rifles causing a problem, of course, right? Because
Right.
they can. You got to get up and close. You got to get up and close and personal when he points to your blaster. He says, and he leans in again. You got to kind of look him in the eyes when you're using that, right? So they're not as afraid of that, but it's the long shots that they don't like.
I think Tanal like laughs at that, but her heart has just like shriveled up inside of her chest. I think that's a very like that kind of comment from someone wearing her dad's face who was always like taught her how to shoot, but it was always like, this is a last resort, this is for you to protect yourself, you know, this like but kind of like laughs and shrugs it off, but I think like subconsciously takes like a half step back. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't know. Everyone at the settlement's been pretty nice so far, but you never know.
Yeah, he says, you know, it stinks like fish and it's cold, but there's a lot of credits that still flow through here. So you know, the independent captains come in, they bring the new crews, they cycle through the roughnecks, and you know, they do. We can do a little bit of a brisk trade, and I got a few salvagers out there that'll sometimes bring me some restock. I'm already starting to get low on my B2 legs, so yeah, I might have to get a few more soon.
They're running out.
Well, like I said, they make for good target practice, and
Gotcha.
the Seps were really good at mass producing them, so the components are pretty interchangeable. So people often salvage them for their own droids to do what they got to do.
Right. Yeah. I mean, good to know. If you
not-
don't mind me asking, how did you land on this frozen rock of a world? I mean, this seems pretty out of the way.
Yeah, sometimes you just have to land where the ship takes you. And
Don't I know it?
I was tired of ship consumables. You know, needed a real meal, a real drink, and my brother doesn't do so good in confined spaces for long periods, so he needed to stretch his legs too.
Oh. Your brother?
Yeah, my brother Cutter. Yeah, he's not in right now. He's out running an errand for us. But yeah, he taps one of the carcasses of one of the droids. He says he's got a lot of practice disassembling the droids.
Right. Disassembling. I get
Yeah.
you. Well,
So, do you want a whole set? Chassis, arms, legs? I can put together a package deal for you. I'll try and find one that doesn't already have too many holes in it. If you need something that's a little sturdier.
yeah, I mean that would be great. I would have to go back and I gotta check with my manager real quick just to make sure that it's in our price range and everything. But if you could give me a quote on it so I can run back and then maybe come back later today or tomorrow and we could work something out.
He says you should ask him if he wants a couple of B1s. They're good for training. They're good for you know, a little bit of exercise.
True. Right.
All right.
I'll pass it along.
All right.
Thanks, man. It was good talking to you. And, thanks for your service.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, it wasn't much service. It was more servitude, but you know, it was a war. We won.
Yeah. Right. But well, it was good talking to you.
Yeah, you too.
And kind of, well, give a very friendly wave, and then walk back out.
Can you make, what would you like to make? Would you like to make to hide your discomfort? What would you like to roll for that as you're leaving? Things that can be picked up in the tone of your voice, in your eyes, things that the respirator isn't covering up that can still do.
I would like to.
Con's the most obvious, but if there's, you can make an argument for another skill, let me know.
Yeah, I mean, I'll do a con roll. My con's good.
Okay. Okay.
That would be totally fine to do that. 'Cause, yeah, it is a little bit just like, oh god, get me out of here. What have I done?
Yeah, because he's picking up on that change, and so I just want to see
Yes.
what he picks up on, or if it's just the usual. I gotta go.
I did explode. Okay, let me do the math here. I rolled so good. Plus, that's a 22.
Okay. He just nods at you and gives you a sort of that smile of somebody who's trying to sell you something, as opposed to that genuine smile of someone who likes you, but gives you the smile all the same. And he says, "I've put together a package, a B2 and a B1. We'll see you when you come back."
All right. Thanks, man. Have a good one.
And he doesn't move from the corner with the droids. He just watches you walk out. You can feel him watching you. You don't hear him step away. He just watches you as you make it to the door.
Yep, I think it steps out as soon as the door shuts behind her, heads around a corner and just braces her arm up against the side of the alley and has to do just some deep breathing for a few moments, swallowing back the tears that she has been fighting since they left Salashay, and just takes a moment to steady herself before heading back out onto the street.
And as Tanal takes that breather, we are going to do the same and take a quick breather ourselves, and then we will return shortly after and continue Quadrilateral Frostfall. And welcome back to Quadrilateral Frostfall. As Gila and Two Pint emerge from the side streets back into the main lane, you've made the intention to go and find Ren, but you're not quite sure where Ren is. How are you going to find an Imperial officer in the settlement where Imperials are on patrol? And tell me your game plan, or tell me the roles you're going to use to do that. There's a couple of options at your disposal mechanically, but there's also the roleplay option.
I could fly up and get a bird's eye view, see
You
if
can.
anyone's around.
Yeah, you've got a limited flight ceiling, but you can absolutely get above the crowd if you head out to the main lane. So that's, if you decide to do that, let me know, and I'll have you start rolling a search.
In a push come to shove, we can just ask.
Yeah.
They are, yeah.
And Gila, there's a couple of options, right? So there is persuasion, where you're trying to convince somebody of an idea as a good idea, but there's also streetwise, which is typically designed to find black market items, knowing who to ask and where to ask to find things that are not on the normal directories of things. But in terms of asking about, let's say, where the Imperials are active today, I'm going to let that slide under streetwise, which falls under knowledge, if you decide to default to knowledge versus perception for this.
Okay. I think I would go with probably perception.
And in fact,
And
Gila,
I'd probably look for.
Gila, don't you have investigation?
I do have investigation.
Because
Very high in investigation.
And sorry, I just remembered that now. In investigation, the skill is specifically geared toward finding information on an individual.
Okay, then I'll do that.
100%. Okay, Two Pint, go ahead and make a search roll, actually, under perception, please, for me.
Yes. Can do. I have search. Oh, it's good too. I didn't explode. That's a 15.
Okay. Gila, roll your investigation for me as you start talking to the locals, which you've been breaking the ice with a few of them now, and are able to quickly speak their language and find out a bit of information.
Okay, son.
Yes.
I got a 20, but I got a complication because I rolled a 1 on the die.
And that's what the wild die does. On a roll of 1, it gives you a complication, which the GM gets to put in his back pocket and use for later.
What a great result.
And the can explode on a 6, which means you add the 6 in and keep rolling it. And if you keep rolling 6s, you keep exploding and keep adding them in. So I'll put that complication in my back pocket. But the total of 20 is still excellent. And Gila, you find out right away that, yeah, there is a little more Imperial activity at the north end of town this morning. It seems to be a sudden operation that they're doing, and people already seem to know that they are going to demolition the communications dish in the yard at the north end of town. They're taking it down today. And that seems-
Is there any details about like who's doing it or anything, or is it just that general information?
Just that an order came in that when the Imperials don't go into the yard, it's all been fenced off, right? The locals aren't allowed in. It's quarantined and off limits. They've actually created a opening in the fence, and there's a engineering team that has been going in under the escort of Imperial snowtroopers, and they've seen a couple of Imperial officers in the area as well. Because they and the people that the rumors spread quickly, and the people that know, and the loose-lipped Imperials who share that when they shouldn't, when they're sitting at their reserved table in the cantina, everybody seems to know this morning that that there was a incident at the yard, which everybody is whispering about. Is it tied into those individuals who are wanted for destruction of Imperial property that's been circulating through the settlement? And they said that for whatever reason, after years of just leaving it to neglect and disuse, there's a sudden operation to demo the communications dish and bring it down. And that's what they're doing today at the yard. And so if you're looking for an Imperial, that's going to be where you're going to find them.
Okay, then I'll start hitting that way with 2 Pint.
And so 2 Pint, you come up, you see that. 2 Pint, you don't obviously get that much detailed information, but you certainly see that there is a higher concentration with your 15 and you're above the crowd line and so forth. There's a higher concentration of Imperial snowtroopers at the north end of town, at the edge of sort of where the last of the settlements and the homesteads are, in the neighborhood, but not right outside Dale's door, but in the neighborhood of where Dale's homestead is as well. But there's a lot of activity over there, and so you can sense that, yeah, there's a higher Imperial presence over there, and so that's probably going to be a good place to go and look if you need to. And then you also see, as you swivel and scan the street, as Gila is finishing the conversation with one of the locals and looks to be ready to step back into the crowd, you see a small, swift, chrome and black covered probe droid. Not a seeker droid, no tentacle arms dangling off the bottom of it. This is a private, civilian, hard to say, probe droid that swoops up across the crowd and then swoops right up to you. Camera lens focused right on 2 Pint's chassis, 2 Pint's Imperial styled chassis, and starts quickly squawking at you in binary. And it's asking you, have you seen any of the saboteurs?
Gonna respond like, that's what I'm up here looking for, and I got nothing so far. What about you? Any leads?
We're looking. We'll find them. There's a reward for information. Report it to the nearest probe droid of my collective, and we will pass it on to our master, and a reward can be provided. It must lead to information for the saboteurs. False reports can result in punishment.
We wouldn't want that, would we? I'll keep an eye out.
A maintenance droid was reported with the saboteurs. Your collective could be infiltrated. Be wary.
Oh dear. Oh dear, I will be on the lookout. What did this maintenance droid look like?
And the probe droid looks at you for a second and kind of swivels its lens up and down for a second as it looks you over. A 2P maintenance droid. And then the probe droid swivels around for a second and then zips across the street and disappears into the next side street, continuing its search pattern.
I'll lower slowly back down to the ground. Gila? the droids are out looking for us. They don't know that I'm the droid because of the paint job, but if we need to, we might be able to give them some false information to lead them away. So if you've got a go to the opposite end of town idea or something, we could maybe do that, and I could pass it along.
When we were at the comm station, did it say that there was any sort of outposts, or like sheds or bunkers that are on the outskirts of town or somewhere out on the planet?
Like other locations, other settlements, or specifically
other settlements or abandoned settlements or anything along those lines.
Fest is not a heavily populated world. There are other, presumably, agriculture, aquaculture settlements. Maybe some light mining that might have been here before even the Empire came along, because it's obviously being a frozen tundra. There, it's much more resource focused than it would be on. It's not a tourism planet. There's no heavy cities or anything, so there's no major starport here. But there are a few other settlements scattered around the planet that would have come up when Tupine was searching the local network and when you were in the comm station as well. But nothing nearby. They're quite distant from each other, quite remote, so probably be a couple hundred kilometers before you'd find another settlement of a similar size as Somber, where you are up in the northern hemisphere. But they are out there for sure.
Think on it. I don't have anything. I need more information, but let's just be smart.
Right. I mean, if worst comes to it, I could just start yelling and go, they went that way, you know.
If all else fails, we'll blame the boys in the depot.
Oh, good. Yes. Nice.
But I don't want to play that card yet, because once that happens, they'll know who did it.
Okay. Right.
Oh.
Focus. Let's do this.
Okay. Ties her hair back, straightens her back up, and takes on her imperial persona.
You get to the north end of town. You get a couple of blocks out from the fence line, which blocks off access to the communications yard. You can see the massive tower, the massive communications dish, right, that you had been standing under previously. Still looms up there. You can still see the missing panel from when a TIE fighter crashed through the TIE fighter, wreckage that still sits in the yard to this day that the Empire didn't bother to clean up and didn't bother to remove. They simply fenced it off and like everything else they touch, determined that it was off limits in quarantine. If it had no value to them, then it's not allowed. No one else is allowed to have it either. And there is there was a main road, which you didn't take. You took the side streets and the back alleys and got to the fence and cut your way through. But there is sort of a main side lane that goes to where the original gate was that they put up for the yard. You can see there are multiple Imperial snowtroopers both at the mouth of the street and then down by the gate where they are. You can see there's a small technical crew that is operating at the far end of that lane, and you can see a olive uniformed with a heavy jacket Imperial officer standing nearby near the troopers looking up at the yard. But there's a couple of snowtroopers where you are that are kind of shooing away anybody that gets too close, anybody that needs to go down, if that's where their homestead is, if that's maybe where their shop is. For the moment, nobody's allowed to go down there. They're blocking it off, and so only Imperial personnel are able to go back and forth through that space.
And I, as we were walking here on my data pad, had been making a work order that has Ren's signature, basically like saying that Ren needs to like sign this. It's a means of like getting around and doing things.
So last time I gave you a freebie. I let you use Con to make the false requisition order for the nav computer because you were talking it out as a group in addition to writing it down. But this is a straight up forgery. I need you to roll your forgery skill, which falls. I think it's under perception still for forgery. You're going to make a forgery roll, include your wild die, to make a passable Imperial communication.
And just to ensure this works, I'm going to use a character point.
So roll your dice, see what you get. The difficulty I tell you will be moderate, so it starts at 11, could be as high as 15.
It's a 17.
Okay. So yeah, so that should be sufficient, you think, for what you need to pass it, because it's not like you're trying to pass off sensitive or confidential or classified information. You're not telling a bold lie. You just got a communication for an officer, and and Gila's very, very good at putting together written materials, and so this is something you've been able to start getting good at. But you're recognizing now this is something that you might have to do again in the future, and so you realize that being able to do this in the moment could be helpful.
Gotcha.
The snowtroopers put up their hands. This Imperial technician approaches with their maintenance droid in tow, and they say, technical operation in process, all business has to wait.
Unfortunately, not here on that business. I have orders to give to... what is Ren's rank again?
Lieutenant.
I have orders for the recent lieutenant, simply just to get in and out, be out of your hair.
The snowtroopers, their rifles in their arms up against their chest, standing at attention. They look you over, they look over 2 Point for a moment, and then one of the snowtroopers takes his hand off his rifle and puts his hand out towards you for the datapad.
Unfortunately, this seems to I need to deliver this in their hands. Sensitive information, you have to understand.
Are you going to use con to trick them into letting you pass, or are you going to use command to order them to let you pass?
Con, because I put a lot of dice into con.
There you go. There you go.
Nice.
Go, 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 go.
They don't have a lot of perception. They're going to have to explode probably to beat that roll. But let's see what you get.
Math. My only weakness. That is a 19.
Gila's accent can have a strong influence on the weak-minded.
It absolutely can. 2 Point, roll your perception for me. This is a difficult roll. There's a crowd. People are staying away from the Imperials, so the crowd is heavier behind you, 2 Point. But you're doing a quick 360 as you hover in place looking around. This is a difficult roll, which means the difficulty starts at a 16. Could be higher than that. Roll your perception for
Okay, I'm
me.
definitely going to need to use a character point to hit that. Yeah, I am. Okay. So that's... Yeah, I don't hit it.
Okay.
It's a 12.
Okay. Yeah. It's a busy crowd. There's people milling about. Lots of activity. Some droids going by. Another pair of snowtroopers walks by, obscuring your vision for a moment as they head off into the crowd, continuing their patrol sweep. So there's just so much activity. You don't notice anything other than just the bustle of the crowd. It's getting like midday at this point, right? So there's lots happening. And then they step aside, and you see that now Gila is walking through, and so you can hover on beside them and continue on down, and the guard patrol or the guard station lets you pass, and you walk up, and you can see Gila, a technical crew, laying out different devices and counting and organizing, and they've got spools of wire and things, and there is looks like another technical officer giving orders and organizing them all, and some snowtroopers standing by, and a couple more snowtroopers at the very back by the gate, the entrance to the yard. And then the technicians start to pick up their gear and start walking in towards the gate, and then there is an officer with a snowtrooper next to them watching. Looks like the officer and the technical leader was giving some information. And you hear, before you see their face, you hear the voice of Ren Sesper standing in front of you, not a dozen paces away.
Recent communications or any indication that anyone has used this material. I need to file that in my report.
Seeker Droid report, Lieutenant. Salvagers were spotted in the site. We found one destroyed Seeker Droid. Looks like it was destroyed by blaster fire. We are missing still a second Seeker Droid. It has not been located. The third Seeker Droid was able to capture a partial holo of the accomplices and reported it. And we can determine that power was restored to the communications array. We think they were probably trying to send a transmission and were interrupted before they could send the transmission out. We have orders from Captain Harn that the communications array is to be demolished, demolitioned to ensure that no further attempts to use, and that all communications will go through the local network and then be relayed to the rig to be used on the Imperial the Imperial transmitter on top of the rig, so that all future communications are now screened through our network before being sent off planet.
Raise my chin. My task does not require me to stand in the way of your demolition. I simply require all the information possible. Security is so lax on these backwater remote planets. I swear.
And then the technician continues organizing the demolition crew, and they're all picking up their gear, and they're all filing off one by one to head into the yard.
Kind of glance around, thinking to myself.
And you see just for a moment, at a quick glance, you see another Imperial droid and another technician. Looks like they're reporting for duty as well behind you.
I glance over at them.
And then you realize that Imperial technician is wearing the face of Gila Cora.
You there. Wave Gila forward.
Just who I'm looking for. Pull up the data pad and I start typing on it. I'm going to type on here and hand these orders over and say, what the hell are you doing here? I hope you have a plan. We need to rendezvous. Imperial's incoming. Any information, and then hand it over. Orders, Mom.
I look at it. No sign of panic or anything. I just type out. I came to rescue you. It seems you're ahead of me in that regard. Message interrupted. Intercepted. Possible bounty hunters after you. And I extend it back and I say, yes, look at this. I may have seen an error in your calculations.
Oh, yes. Well, to let you know, the timetable has been moved up quite a bit. We're running on a tight schedule, so if you have any other orders, now would be the time to initiate those, as the plan is moving forward. Yes.
Yes, I'm starting to get that sense. Perhaps I should brief your team in person.
Of course. Do you have a time? Shall we meet in the hangar bay?
I believe so. I note where my ship landed, and I hand that back. Would those locational coordinates be possible for your team?
They would. Have you also? There was a demolitions and explosives order that was supposed to be fulfilled. Have you fulfilled that?
So I know that they're setting up for this
They're doing
demolitions.
this right now. And Gila, you know that the landing pad that Ren has indicated is the Imperial landing pad, the open-air permacrete pad that's just surrounded by some fencing. It's got the watchtower over it where the shuttle, the Imperial shuttle, would have landed. But you know you're not talking about that landing pad. You're talking about the old shuttered landing rings, which are at the edge of the settlement, one of which is empty and has just been used for storage, and the second one, which is where you're holed up, which is where the Carillion freighter is, that's the one that I'm assuming you're wanting to recommend, but Ren may not know that bay is available to you.
Gotcha. It's not the usual bay. There's one a bit off site that we're working out of. If you want to, you can come by there. We are currently in the middle of inspection, Mum.
Ah, yes. I shall make a note of that. I note down the location.
And now you know where the landing bay is, the open-air landing ring that you can go to.
I look around contemptuously at the text and I say, well, I think my supervision here is done.
Ren,
Escort me.
Ren, roll your perception, please, as you look around.
Now, I seem to think that I did not invest heavily in my, yeah, okay. Here we go. Oh boy. All right, so that's an 8. And there's a complication. Yeah.
Okay.
Guys, we're terrible at seeing stuff.
Dice did not go very well. No, you know what? I'll spend a character point, and it allows me to roll, what, 1 additional die?
You get
right?
an additional d6. It can't complicate, but it can explode if it rolls a 6. And then
Okay.
you get to add it in and keep
I
rolling.
got up to a 10.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm sure it'll be fine. What's wrong?
So Ren gives the order to be escorted. Lieutenant Sesper gives the order to the operations technician to be escorted. Is that what you just did?
Yes.
Or just to the trooper, because you still got the snow trooper nearby as well.
I can go with my tech. You can stay and supervise the rest of these demolition efforts, I say to the trooper.
I have orders to escort you through the settlement, Lieutenant. There are still antagonists on the loose. It might not be safe.
I open up my coat and show that I have a blaster pistol. I say, that is your concern and your diligence are notable, but I believe you mentioned the word lieutenant in that speech, yes?
I want you to make a command roll to order the trooper to hit the road. It's not a difficult roll. So
that's what I'm doing.
It's an easy difficulty because the trooper is trained to obey orders.
Okay.
So an easy difficulty starts at a 6 and can be as high as 10.
All right, I got a 15.
Trooper stiffens up and nods, and then the snow trooper immediately departs the alley, the main sort of the side lane, and heads back into the crowd, heading back to his previous post.
All right, nod to Tila. Let's go.
Postman follows behind you, imitating military protocol.
And you start to make your way back casually through the crowds again, back in the direction of the bay. As Tanal recovers herself a little bit and composes herself a little bit, continues down the main street. You can hear the buzz of the probe droids flashing overhead. You can see the snow trooper patrols through the crowds, but it's midday, the market's bustling, all the activity like you saw the other day. So it's easy enough to kind of keep your head down and just kind of make your way through the crowd to get to the infirmary. Get inside.
Mm-hmm. Yep. She slips into the front door, immediately starts like looking around for Sledge.
Are you just going to head past the front counter and go right into the back and just go right to his bedside? There's no Silver's not at the front counter for the moment, so the 2-1B droid is not there, and you don't hear any voices for the moment.
I don't see anybody, or if I don't see anybody around, like I think I'll do, just because I don't think that what was her name? Was her name Grease?
Grease.
I don't think she's gonna be mad at me for this, so I will just do that. Yeah.
You head back past the counter. The hallway is open right. There was no doors. You could go right into the back so that they could easily come and respond to things up front as they needed to. It was wide enough for 2-1B, wide enough for a bed to make through. And you get back there and you get around the corner and you saw the shelves where the med packs were and all the medical supplies, and you saw the second bed where there was previously a patient. That bed is now empty as well. All the monitoring equipment, all of the stuff, everything that was hooked into Sledge, and the bed is right there, and the bed is made and tidy and neat and empty.
And Sledge is gone. Okay. Alright. You just got up! Alright, cool. Thank you for that, Sledge. Yeah, I think that Tanal will kind of go and make her way back out to the front, get back to the other side of the counter, and then if there's like a button or like a little bell or barring that, we'll kind of just call into the infirmary and just be like, hello?
You call and it comes up with a comm channel, and you can hear Silver's static voice come through. Medical services droid reporting, currently off-site. Please state nature of medical emergency.
No emergency. Checking on a patient that I brought in here 2 days ago, and I give
the alias. There was an alias that he was under, so you give the alias's name.
I give the alias. Yeah.
Running patient standby. Patient self-discharged 12 hours ago.
Idiot. Dumb idiot.
God damn it.
Oh God.
Right. Did the patient give any indication of where he was going? I'm just a little bit worried about him.
Running medical log. Patient complained of inadequate foodstuffs, seeks sustenance, dispatched for declared self-checkout,
Right.
and
Okay.
went in seek of sustenance.
Okay, he's gonna go get drunk. All right. Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you, and please tell Grease thank you for everything.
Message will be relayed.
Yep, and we'll head out.
You're back out in the street again. The bustle
back
of the
into the
street.
street again. Sledge, why are you making my errands that much more complicated? And I think we'll start kind of. Start heading towards the cantina because she's like, yeah, I know where he went.
Yep.
We'll make her way over that way.
Okay. As you're getting to that end of town, you know that that's closer to the Imperial Landing Bay. There's more snowtroopers by the gate, more
Yeah.
patrols. You see the buzz.
Right.
I want you to roll your sneak for me, please, as you
Okay.
seek to use the crowd to your advantage and stay out of sight.
Okay.
Get the respirator on, get a big jacket on, looking like another
sneak is-
face in the crowd.
My sneak is so good, you guys.
How's your search? Can you succeed on a check?
Search is not as good. Okay, this is not a bad series of rolls. No explosions, but no complications. That is going to be 9, 12. That's a 14.
Okay.
And I want to use another character point. I'm not fucking around with this.
Okay.
We're gonna roll that.
Okay.
Oh, okay, that's good. That I got a 6 on that one. So that's
So it
a total of
explodes?
18.
So you get to roll that to
It's-
character point again because it
It
explodes.
does explode.
You
Oh wait,
got-
okay. I miscalculated. So that's 14. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. 23 is my new total.
Yeah.
Fucking ghost. Shadow. Probably.
You duck through the crowd, and the character point makes a huge difference because a probe droid swoops down right into the crowd, like just above the crowd, just swoops down and then hovers and just does that slow slide as just goes across the crowd, and you see it coming in time to get behind someone taller than you and kind of just stay in their shadow of their shoulders and their back as you're right up against them, and as the probe droid comes right past you. And you can see that it is transmitting the crowd as it is floating by. So they're not just seeking, but they're actively sending a feedback to whoever's watching on the other end.
Mm-hmm.
The probe droid rolled a 1 on their wild dice for complications. So now you know that they are in fact actively transmitting. Someone's
okay.
watching these droids
Yeah.
as they are searching the crowds.
Okay. And again, was this one wasn't one of the like
This is
Imperial
not an
ones.
Imperial
This
Secret
is
droid. This is one of
a
these
different
civilian, different model ones that you've seen
Okay.
periodically, that Gila
That I'm-
reported having seen periodically in the streets. But
Yeah.
they are active.
I think I know why. Okay. Cool.
And you get to the cantina and you duck inside. Music's playing. There is a couple of snowtroopers, helmets off, sitting at the reserved table, having lunch, as one does. The cantina is bustling because everybody that's shopping in the market has come in for a drink or is doing that. This is the last of the crowd from the night shift who have just come in for their kind of morning reverie before they go crash for the day. So the night shift crowd is here. It's busier because there's more of them because they're running double shifts now. So the canteen is quite full, which is helpful in both keeping you sort of obscured, but it makes it difficult to see who's coming and going. There's people coming in and out of the door all the time. If there was anyone else in here, you wouldn't necessarily know. You can see Q3PO at the back counter, active, arms moving, photoreceptors lit up because somebody's using the translation services. Somebody is getting something translated at the droid, and the bar, both the organic bartender and the droid server are active at the bar, moving drinks, moving food around. The smell of food, the kitchen, it's lunch hour, there's lots happening. Roll your perception as you search the crowd. to see if you recognize anybody.
Okay. Let's see. Again, no explosion, no complication. That is a 9.
Okay. You're gonna have to search table by table. It's too thick in here.
This is so dangerous, but also, like, he can't be running around unattended and unsupervised. We should have freaking chipped him. So yeah, I'll do it. I'll do what I have to.
Okay.
Again, trying to like keep her collar up as much as possible, trying to like speed through.
Which means
hoping that
you're
everyone's
jostling into
distracted.
people a little bit, bumping some chairs. People take note of you because you're jostling them, but they want to get back to their meal and their drink, so they don't really care who else is here. But it means that you're making your presence known throughout the crowd as you go.
Yeah.
And then at a side table near the back, within a small throw of the imperial table, but there looks like there's a small table at the back. Doesn't appear to be very comfortable. Doesn't appear to be very well, like only a couple of chairs available. Presumably because it's probably a staff table. Because as you look and you find Sledge sitting at a table with his meal and a drink, and he's not wearing the clothes that you brought him in on. Half of those were cut off by grease when she was treating him anyway. But in fact, he's wearing a stained overall because he's been working in the kitchen, earning some credits to get himself a meal, which he is now enjoying at the table. And he still has a couple of little diodes on his arms and hands from where various medical equipment was connected up to him to monitor his status. And he doesn't look great because it's Sledge, and he never looks great. He's half burned on one side of his body, but he's definitely up and about, and whatever injuries he sustained, the worst of it seems to be past him, and he certainly has his appetite back because he is chowing down, not looking up at all, paying no mind to anybody else. But yeah, he's wearing kitchen garb.
Is he is he sitting alone at that table?
He's sitting alone at the table.
Yeah, I think Tanal comes up behind him, puts a heavy hand just kind of clap down on his shoulder and leans into his ear and goes, "You ungrateful bastard. What the hell? What are you doing?"
He stiffens up immediately, and you almost get a reaction like you think he's going to fight because someone's grabbed him. But then he hears your voice, and he stops for a moment, and he's got his his fork in his hand, right? Like that he could easily use to stab somebody with if he felt so inclined. And he just keeps his utensils in his hands, but he says, "I'm not allowed to eat. I got to ask permission for that too."
No, you're just an idiot. You're just an idiot. Just, oh God, is that hard to stay put?
What, in bed?
Yes.
They were feeding me processed nutrients. There was nothing there.
Yeah.
She said I was ready to stand. She made me stand up and walk around, so obviously I can walk around. Is it prison? Am I not allowed to leave? And his voice gets up just a little bit higher. The din of the cantina is enough to keep it down, but his voice raises just slightly because Sledge is so agreeable.
Stop. Yeah. And she will kind of sit down.
And he shrugs off your hand and it goes back to his meal, and you sit down across from him. There's 2 Imperial snowtroopers like 3 tables that way behind you.
All right. Listen, man. I don't have a lot of time here. All right. We're on a pretty tight timetable, but we're trying to get off this rock as quick as we can in the next couple of days. All right. So, like you said, it's not prison. If you want to stay here, you can, I guess. But if you want to get off this frozen ball of ice,
and he points the fork at you, food dripping off it, and fly with you again? That's what got me in that bed in the first place.
Yeah, and it got you off that planet, didn't it?
Who
do you think dragged you through the snow?
After I almost got shot.
Yeah, and who do you think dragged you through the snow? Who do you think found a very, very nice, very lovely woman who did not ask a lot of questions, thankfully, to patch you up?
And who got the door open that allowed that ship to leave in the first place? Me. So I guess that makes us even.
All right.
But But if you think I'm getting on a ship with you again, if your takeoffs are half as bad as your landings, there's no way, no chance.
Oh, we've got a better shot this time because our ship is actually space-worthy.
And why are you in such a hurry to go? What's the problem? What did you do?
Because there's an Imperial Star Destroyer on its way here to suck the rest of this town dry.
And how's that any different from how it was back home?
Yeah, and you remember how it worked out back home, right? Listen. Up to you, man. You can make your own choices for your own life. You want to stay here and wait for the Imperials to continue bleeding this town dry and you along with it, that's fine. If you want to leave with us and then go your own way as soon as we make it to a safe spaceport, that's fine.
Where are you headed?
We don't know yet, but we got a couple options that should be safe-ish.
Like this was safe-ish?
This was a landing of convenience. Now we have a list.
It didn't feel so convenient laying in that bed, I can tell you that.
Yeah, well, neither was dragging your unconscious carcass on a whatever. Like I said, up to you. Just
Where's your ship?
a safe place.
So safe you can't even find it again? If I'm supposed to accept this gracious invitation to expose myself to the vacuum of space one more time under your tender care, am I able to find this ship? Since we're in such a
I'm not trying
dire
to be
rush?
magnanimous here. I'm not trying to. Look, you've been a miserable thorn in my side since I was a kid. All right, you've been a miserable thorn in Vilra's side since we were kids. But you were also our neighbor. And that hasn't gone away just because our home blew up.
Tell me where the ship is and tell me when you're leaving.
First, you tell me you're not going to tell somebody else.
Well, with all of my friends in town that I have here, I had to beg them to let me scrub pots just so I could get a meal.
Can I... GM question. Can I get a reminder if we saw Sledge's name anywhere on the wanted lists that we had gone through?
Yeah, you can ask that question, and 2 Pint absolutely confirmed that no, Sledge and none of the salvage yard crew were listed as wanted or missing. They were out of town, right? They're kind of like they live out on the salvage yard, so they didn't show up in too many directories, and nobody really gave a damn about whether they came or went.
Exactly. So if he rats us out and sells us to the highest bidder, it's no skin off his nose. Yeah. Right. Well, I know that you're not afraid to deal with dangerous people, and there's quite a few dangerous people in town right now.
Well, that usually means there's credits to be made, doesn't it?
Exactly. And I want to make sure you're going to make them honest.
And he looks at you, and he looks at himself, and he gestures to his apron.
How about this? How about I let you take your time, think about it. I'll find you again at some point the next day or so, and you can let me know what you decide. And then, depending on what you would like to do, I'll take you back to the ship. I didn't leave you out there in the snow, not gonna leave you here. Unless you want to be left.
It's pretty cold. It doesn't smell great.
No.
But I'm used to the yard not smelling great, so that doesn't really bother me so much. I'm no fisherman, I know that. But I did see there was a parts depot. Could probably get work there.
Maybe, but watch out. Those guys, they're a little intense.
I thought you just said that I was the one that was intense.
I thought you were trying to take a break from the intensity.
Just trying to not get hit in the head again.
Aren't we all?
I'm gonna square away some more work in the kitchen in exchange for one of the rooms at the hotel.
All right.
That's where you'll find me.
All right. Stay safe out there, and if anybody with a datapad asks your name, and I give the alias that we registered him under.
He
I
nods.
want to use real names, but yeah.
He nods. All right. Yeah, all right. He nods at that.
Okay. Stay warm out there. We'll kind of get up, give him a still kind of rough but much less aggressive, like, pat on the shoulder, and we'll head out.
He says, "Kitchen's pretty warm."
Yeah. It's not bad.
As you shove him like that, more playful shove, more respectful or you know, whatever shove, and he over his shoulder he just says to you, "Thanks," and tell the kid thanks as well.
Yeah. All we've got is each other, right? We'll head back out into the cold.
Back into the street, back into the cold, the warmth, the noise, the smells of the kitchen, the door shut behind you. You told Dale you wanted to talk to him in person, but you're not sure where he is. Does anybody message Tanal as you head back? So
Yeah.
your comm would probably buzz Tanal as you step outside.
Yeah.
Order has been fulfilled. I'm en route to the port.
Very good, Commander. I'll meet you there.
Blush Commander.
And
Is that our mutual friend? She doesn't understand ranks at all.
Which is pretty. That counts for something.
It does. I give Gila this look like,
Anyway.
Tanal, I want you to make one final sneak check to cross the busy lane from the cantina into the side streets to try and disappear before you make your way back to the bay.
Okay.
Please,
Fine,
be
guys,
kind of a go for it.
I'm rolling 5 dice. I'm sneaky as hell. Oh, I exploded! Okay. Let's see. That is 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I'm gonna roll that one again. 18.
Okay.
That's solid. That's a good number.
Okay. You make your way through the crowd quickly. You know how to duck your head down, keep it down. You got the respirator on. You can hear the buzz of the probe droids as you kind of duck into the thickest part of the crowd and then make your way through. But you know they've been scanning the crowds, getting low and slow, and scanning the crowds as they go. So you just try to keep your back to it and you know keep it behind you as you make your way through. Then you're through most of the crowds. A few people through the side streets. Nobody's paying you any mind. Back through the side alleys. Take a bit of a long way around. And as you get around the back of the bay and you look ahead of you and you see, just as they're just shy of the maintenance hatch, you see Gila and you see Two Pint and you see an Imperial officer walking alongside them.
I think it's all Tanal can do to like not break out into a run. but I think that she kind of forces herself to slow down. She's like speed walking a little bit now.
Okay. And the three of you hear that. You hear somebody come as you haven't quite got inside the bay yet, but you turn around, you hear, and then you can hear the sound of somebody like steps, probably hurried steps in the snow, in the tundra, and then it slows down a little bit, and you turn and look over your shoulder as you see Tanal. And Ren sees Tanal come around the outer wall of the bay at the backside. Just the town's not here. This is just exposed to the open tundra. And Tanal sees Ren turn around, flanked by Gila and Two Pint in front of her.
What the hell are you doing here?
Rescuing you, obviously.
Rescuing me from what?
Rescuing you from the 9 kinds of galactic hell that are going to descend upon you.
Yeah, the destroyer, we know.
I've seen the video, Tanal. The hollow of...
Which one? You'll have to be a little bit more specific.
Did Vilra not tell you? Look,
About
the Empire has a lot of interest in things like that, and I have to get you out of here. Your transmission was intercepted. Someone's coming for you.
intercepted by who?
I don't know, and it doesn't matter. We just need to go.
Well,
And you're close enough if you want to touch Ren, as you've now, like, they stopped walking and you've caught up to them, so now you're face to face.
are we in a? We're in an area where there are no like other people or droids or anything.
No,
Okay,
it's
yeah,
just the back wall of the ring, which is at the edge of town, and then you can just see the tundra and the blowing snow, and the distant mountain sweeps up behind you.
Right.
Yeah, I would ordinarily be looking around, but I think Ren is very distracted.
Well,
We want to get out of here too, but we have a bit of a checklist to just we got a couple things to handle before we head out.
You're doing something stupid, aren't you?
Yeah, I've already done a couple of stupid things, and I'm gonna do a couple more before we head out of here.
What are you blowing up this time?
How'd you guess?
Call it a hunch.
Yeah, kind of nods out towards the rig on the lake.
You mean everything. You're blowing up everything.
Just one. It's just one rig. I mean, how bad could it be, right?
Ren looks like she has a headache. Well, you do remember Salashay, right? No one thought it would be that bad, and it was that bad.
No. See, they didn't think it would be that bad because they were ignoring the science. But here, they're also still ignoring the science once again. And I think that the science says that if we don't blow it up, it's going to be worse. Other people could explain it better than me.
Hydrocarbons are polluting the water. If we don't do anything, these people will be without sustainable living.
Why are you talking like that?
I have a cover. I don't want them to know my voice should my cover be blown.
Her core accent is better than mine. Much better than mine. Anyway.
Say that again.
I hate to interrupt this, family bonding moment, but perhaps this conversation should be continued inside.
Right.
Well,
Ren is like,
see how we're getting out.
that is 2 pint. I didn't even know that for sure that was 2 pint.
I know, I got a new look, and I don't love it, but it works.
Ren kind of reaches over and just bong, 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 a little bit on 2 Pint's chassis.
2 Pint probably heads
Nice.
in through the maintenance tunnel, getting back inside. Gila, do you follow 2 Pint in?
I do, but I want to give a quick swivel to look around as we head in.
Tundra, blowing snow, the mountains in the distance, the sound of the wind coming through, the distant sound of Somber on the full other side of the docking ring, distant from where you are right now, because this is just a simple maintenance hatch on the far side.
Go in. Immediately relax my body.
Sheila goes inside, leaving the two sisters on the outside.
You're all right.
Yeah, I'm fine. Landing was a little bit rough, but
Was Vilra flying?
hey, look, she's good at what she does, alright? It's not her fault that that thing was never supposed to be taken into open space.
I know you're all under a lot of pressure, and you're making do with terrible, terrible resources.
We
I
kept
have a
everybody
shuttle.
alive. You have a shuttle. We have a ship.
A ship?
Yeah.
How'd you get a ship? It's not the same ship, is it?
No, that one is long gone. Just we've been around town making friends with all of our sparkling winning personalities.
I'm sure you
Vilra did
have.
this one specifically.
You gonna take Ren inside and show her?
Yeah. I think as they're going in, Tinal like slings an arm around Ren's shoulder to lead her in, and it's just like, God, never thought I'd say this, but it's good to see you.
And as you hug your sister, and as you say those words, your sister replies, but no words come out of her mouth. As Ren has a sudden gasp of air that exhales as her arm wraps you tightly, hugging you, going in for the embrace. And as you look up your head, as you see that her other arm to come up to embrace you can't. And the arm can't embrace you, Tinal, because it has been cut at the arm, right through the bicep, as a figure has descended off the roof with a vibro sword and just disarmed, literally, Ren Cesper in front of you. The figure's armored with a vibro sword, and Ren clutches to you, gasping for air, unable to breathe. And that's where we leave this episode of Quadrilateral Frostfall. I have been your Game Master, Jason Collins. You can find me, my work, and all the episodes of Quadrilateral on my link tree at digital_Collins.
Wait, whoa. Wait a minute. Wait, no.
What a cliffhanger.
I'm Barnaby. You can find me in the corner and also on the all over the internet at @that's_Barnaby.
I'm Mara. You can find me on the internet at College of Lore Dropout or just Lore Dropout. Also in the fetal position, hiding somewhere.
I'm Diana. My handle's on the screen. That's it.
So, hello, I exist. My name is May. You can find me on the internet at Maybe Mayhem or on my podcast, Socially Plagued, where I have both arms, and I'm really hoping I have a character next week because Vilra's been alone and I'm scared now for literally everyone involved. I'm gonna go have feelings in a dark room.
And as
I'm Erik Scott to be member of the Dungeon Scrawlers. You can find my writing and stuff online. I do a lot of stuff in addition to this: game design, writing, helping Jason come up with terrible cliffhangers.
And when we return next episode, we will find what happens when the chickens come home to roost, what happens when complications get fulfilled, as the crew is both reassembled and disassembled at the same time.
Yeah.
We wish all of our spacers and scoundrels safe skies.